Today, let's talk about one of the most incredible minds from the Islamic Golden Age, a 10th century philosopher named Farabi. Now, he lived through a period of absolute chaos, and his response to it, well, it was nothing short of revolutionary.
To really get Farabi, you first have to get the world he was living in. Picture this. The Abbasid Caliphate, this once unstoppable empire, was literally falling apart at the seams. It was being ripped to shreds by all kinds of divisions, religious, political, you name it. The central government was just collapsing.
So that raises a pretty big question, right? If you're this brilliant thinker, and you're watching your entire world just disintegrate around you, what do you even do? Do you run away from it? Do you just write angry letters? Well, Farabi did something totally different.
He didn't respond to the chaos with an army or a political campaign. He responded with a blueprint. He sat down and with pure intellectual force designed a perfect, ideal state, a model city, as his philosophical answer to all the failure he saw.
Now, just to understand how massive a figure Farabi was, you have to hear the title they gave him. I mean, it tells you everything you need to know about his status in the intellectual world.
He was known as Al-Mu'allimut Sani, which means the second preceptor. Just let that sink in. If Aristotle was the first great teacher of humanity, Farabi was seen as his true successor. And this wasn't just for his philosophy. The guy was a true polymath, a master of everything from logic and math to music theory.
Okay, so to really appreciate what he built on paper, we've got to dive a little deeper into that chaos that was fueling his work, because the world he lived in was the polar opposite of the perfect city he imagined.
So on one hand, you had the idea of this single, unified Islamic empire. That was the dream. But the reality? Oh, the reality was a complete mess. A state totally torn apart by infighting and the complete decay of any central power.
The Caliph in Baghdad, he was basically just a figurehead, a pawn in a much bigger game. You had these new Persian and Turkish dynasties popping up, carving out their own little kingdoms. The real power was with the military commanders, the emirs and sultans. And then, in 944, just 6 years before Farabi died, a dynasty called the Buhayyids marched in and took Baghdad itself. That was it for the caliph's political power. This was the unstable world Farabi was navigating.
And it's right out of this fire that his masterwork was forged, Madinatul Fadila, or the Model City. And this wasn't just him dusting off Plato's old ideas. This was a deeply original piece of political philosophy, born from his own turbulent times.
His whole argument starts from a really simple place. He says, look, no one person can get everything they need to survive all by themselves. You can't grow your own food, build your own house, and defend yourself alone. So cooperation is absolutely essential. That need forces us to band together into a society and to make some kind of agreement, a compact, to live in peace.
And here it is. This is the big reveal. This compact for mutual renunciation of rights he talks about. What is that? It's a social contract theory. And get this, he was writing about this hundreds of years before European thinkers like Hobbes or Rousseau ever made the idea famous. Just an absolutely pioneering concept.
Okay, so for this model city to actually work, one component was more crucial than anything else: the leader. And let me tell you, Farabi set an unbelievably high bar for who should be in charge.
He used this really powerful analogy. He said the state is like a human body, and the ruler, the supreme head, isn't the brain, he's the heart. The heart is what keeps all the other organs working in harmony, what pumps life through the whole system. That's the ruler's job.
And the job qualifications for this heart, they were insane. Farabi laid out 12 specific qualities. We're talking about a love of learning, hating money, being brave on the battlefield, being a great speaker. On top of that, the ruler had to be physically perfect, have a flawless memory, and have this deep wisdom to see how things really are. This wasn't just a job for a good politician, this was a blueprint for the perfect human being.
But Farabi was no copycat. He actually broke with his Greek influences on a really important point. While Plato argued for a kind of communism for his ruling class, no private property, Farabi said no way. He believed that real unity comes from people choosing to cooperate, not from forcing them into being mere chessmen. So in his city, people could own property and act for themselves.
So when you put this all together, what's the big takeaway from Farabi? Well, his work really is a pivotal moment in the entire history of political thought. You can see him right there, acting as this vital bridge. He took the classical philosophy of the Greeks, reinterpreted it, and pushed it forward in a new context. And in doing so, he directly influenced the political ideas that would emerge centuries later in Europe.
At the end of the day, the model city wasn't some fantasy he cooked up to escape reality. It was a rigorous, thoughtful, intellectual response to the political failure all around him. It's this amazing testament to the idea that even when the world is falling apart, the simple act of imagining a better one is incredibly powerful.
And that's what brings his work crashing right into our own time. In an age where things can feel pretty divided and unstable, you have to ask, what can we learn from a 10th century philosopher's quest for a more perfect society? What kind of blueprints should we be drawing up today?